The monitor for the ultimate gamer, the Alienware 2521H. This is the esports focused monitor of choice for many professional esports teams and tournaments, including the Smite Pro League. Why? Because it's got a 25-inch FHD IPS panel, 360 hertz refresh rate so you never miss a frame, and true 1 millisecond gray-to-gray response time so you can't blame it on the lag. Hello everybody, and welcome to your Baron Samdi mid lane guide. So we are going to be running Baron in mid compared to the support role. I'm just not a big fan of mages as supports. Every once in a while, gods like Baron, Eset, Nox, etc. will end up being pretty good supports, but they're really only pretty good supports at like the top 1%, even the top 0.1% of gameplay, which is really just not relevant for most people trying to play Smite, because you're going to be missing out on so much frontline if you go a mage support unless you play it like perfectly and make up for the lack of frontline elsewhere. So we're going to be playing Baron Samdi mid because that is his generally strongest role that's going to provide the most to your team without having to worry about doing everything just pitch perfect over in the duo lane. And if you want to support the Twitchiest community on YouTube, make sure you smash that sub button and hit that bell so you never miss a video. I don't know why you have to hit a bell for notifications on YouTube, but you do. We upload 2 videos every single day, one bright and early in the morning and one in the afternoon. So make sure you're watching both of them: Joust, Duel, Conquest, and God Guides, baby. It's time to fight. So for our Baron here, we're starting off with Sands of Time, going into a Warlock's Staff. Standard start on almost all mages. Conduit Gem also good right now, but on Baron we are going to want max CDR, or at least close to max CDR. So we want to make sure that we can get that ASAP. So we're going to be starting off with that Sand of Time, turning it of course into a Pendulum later in the game. It's time to fight. On our abilities here on Baron, we are going to be starting off with our 1 at level 1 because the cooldown is only 8 seconds. Very good lane clear, jungle clear ability, but it is not going to be the ability that we end up maxing out first. The ability that we max out first is actually going to be our 2. So we want to get that point at level 1, just to get that quick jungle clear, that quick lane clear off. Then we're going to transition into our 2. At level 3, I am going to get a second point in my 2. Then we'll grab our 3 at level 4, where we can actually start looking for some PvP kills. Getting our ulti then at level 5, which means our official level order here on Baron is going to be 2, 4, 1, 3. I like to max out the 2 as soon as humanly possible. The reason why we're going to be maxing out that 2 is because we're going to get lowered cooldown every time we put a point into it. We're going to get increased damage, and it's going to increase the flat heal from this ability that we get from smacking the enemy gods. So it is a win on all fronts. Ultimate, generically going to give us some more damage. We're going to show you some tricks on that Baron ult as well to get the most efficiency out of it, because it can be a bit of a tricky ability. Then getting up your 1 for some more damage, and finally your 3. You get the max CC duration out of your 3 with only 1 point in it, so no reason to get any more until the later stages of the game, because all of your other abilities are going to provide more damage than it does. It's time to fight back. There's a Raven at my green buff, which is definitely different for sure. Unfortunately, I'm missing a wave trying to stick over here by this red buff, see if I can go for the secure. Not going to be able to get it, but we might be able to get a pick on somebody. This Raven is fairly low. If I had 1 more creep, I would have my root, but I don't. In fact, we might be able to get both of them right here. Gonna throw down my 2, we're gonna hit the Raven. Now we hit the level 3, so we can go for the root onto Raven. Grab ourselves a doubloon right there. That's what they get. Baron plays as a not a strictly damage mage. It's the reason why people go to play him in the support role, even the solo lane sometimes. is because Baron has a lot of utility in his kit. This is not a Kukulkan situation where your job is, I'm only gonna do damage. His job is to do damage, and your late game damage will be popping, but it's also to provide a lot of utility for the team. Bonus movement speed, he reduces enemy damage, he's got good CC with the roots, and the ulti suck. So you've kind of got two jobs on Baron, focusing on damage, but also keeping in mind that your utility could help set up a kill outside of just straight burst damage, and also save a life. I'm gonna go for the suck right here on the Merlin. We are gonna be able to force his beads, and that is a big win because that cooldown is twice as long as my ultimate is. Second that I saw his flicker was down, that means I go for the ulti because he has no way out of it without using inactive. Baron has one of those weird power spikes as a god. He's quite strong in the early stages of the game. His early game, very good because all of his abilities are going to do damage. His lane clear, strong as well. The 2-1 combo, as long as you get them the wave grouped up for that 2. You do a little 2-1 combo, you're gonna be able to clear most of it. And he's got a lot of CC within his first couple of abilities as well. Gotta back up and get myself that Warlock Staff as well as a couple of wards real quick. Then he drops off a little bit in the mid game. His mid game, so he kind of starts off going up, and then his mid game drops down a little bit until you get back into the team fight stage. So the period of the game starting right around now where people are just kind of wandering around the map looking for the quick picks, that's not his strength necessarily. He's really team fight focused. So when you have that early 2v2 with the Awilix, tends to be strong there with your jungle, which in my case happens to be Awilix. And then he drops off a little bit in the mid game, and then as you start to get into full build, head into that ultra late game, the bonus movement speed, the CC, the damage from over walls, all very strong for Baron. So he turns up again really hard around that like 15 to 20 minute marker where you've kind of transitioned into late game team fights.
This should do. This is overkill.
And yes, the 15 to 20 minute marker in Conquest right now is in fact the late game team fights. The game may not be over until the 30 minutes, but most of your games are going to be decided in that 15 to 20 minute marker. That's when the snowball kind of really hits the fan. For Baron matchups, best case scenario for Baron, you're against a god that doesn't have a movement ability. If you're against a god that doesn't have a movement ability on Baron, you are having the time of your life because you can just get a massive suck like this. You get a big ol' suck, you get a lot of damage off. So if you're against like a Zeus, an Alpooch, etc., the only thing that they can do in order to get out of your ulti is pop that beats. That's it.
Better safe than sorry.
If a god has a very consistent jump like a Jade Emperor, very little utility out of your ultimate in the early game stages. You're gonna have to wait for them to use their movement ability first. A god like Jade Emperor is a double whammy because not only does he have a movement ability, but he also has a CC immune ulti. Combined with his beads, basically means you're never ever gonna hit him with the ult. This game, Merlin falls right about in the middle. Merlin has a getaway skill, but it's Flicker, which is a really short distance ability, which means that as long as I am fairly close to the Merlin, when I start the ability, even if he flickers, he's still gonna have to use his beads in order to get out of the range of it. If I try to max distance ulti the Merlin, he will be able to flicker out, so I just have to be careful and make sure that I'm kind of close to it.
Just getting started.
Also on Baron, he is based around sustain, which means that gods that have built-in anti-heal also going to be fairly problematic for you. Sobek, Cerberus's, Odin's, etc. That built-in anti-heal is annoying. And of course, Odin, another double whammy god. You do not have the ability to leap. You don't have a movement ability on Baron. So you do have to be careful about any god with a wall. Thor's, Ymir's, Odin's, etc. Bracken. They can bring a lot of problems your way. So I'm going to go ahead and smack the ulti right there directly onto the Merlin. The Geb was unfortunately just coming to mid lane, so he's going to give him a good Geb shield so he doesn't take too much damage from that. You can see right after I used my root onto the Merlin, I did not immediately use my set of abilities because I was pretty sure that he was going to flicker, so I waited for the flicker and then hit him with it after he flickered. As far as guys that you would like on your team on Baron, more of a setup god than necessarily he is reliant on setup. Baron has all of the tools in his own kit to set up himself for damage and poke, but he can also set up the team for follow-up damage. So a jungler that's got a big damage follow-up ability, let's say you're running a Poseidon jungle, not uncommon. You throw out the root on Baron, they stand still, bada bing, bada boom, big old Kraken. A hunter that's got a big follow-up combo. Chiron's actually not too bad. I hit him with the root, Chiron hits him with the 1 because they're standing still, hits him with the 1-2 auto attack. That's probably half their HP right there outright anyway. So you get the damage off, but you also get to provide setup for your team. So you can do some wombo combos with the Baron. Most of the time, mid laners need somebody to set them up for their own wombo combos. All right, for our next item here, we do have a couple of options. Luckily, I don't need anti-heal against this team, so I don't need to worry about a Divine Ruin, at least for now. Early penetration, always a good option, but I am going to get myself a Chronos Pendant for the CDR. Chronos Pendant plus that ranked up Pendulum going to give me 40% on Baron, so I don't have to worry about cooldown anywhere else in my kit necessarily. Not to say that I won't, because Soul Gem is also a good item on Baron, possibly later in the game, but this is going to let us focus more on getting into some proc damage as well as percent penetration. And it's going to maximize our efficiency in the early game before too many people have their protections online, and allow us to utilize our utility in our kit more, our heals, our CC, etc. Always make sure you get cooldown on Baron. At least 30%, almost always going to give 40% on Baron. To be fair, a lot of mage items give like 10% cooldown, so it's not uncommon to overcap on cooldown on a mage, like on accident. So if you can overcap on accident, you best be capping on purpose with Baron. Baron's positioning is the hardest part about him. Honestly, another reason why people play Baron in tankier roles, because when you play a tankier Baron, you can get away with worse positioning. You can press that W key a little bit more and just not have to worry about it. Walls are your friend on Baron. They are your friend. Your 1 and your 2 will go over / through walls. Your 3 will not. So you've got to have direct line of sight for your 3, but your ultimate also goes through walls. Not only does your ultimate go through walls, because they'd be stuck on a wall, it means that you're going to get the full duration suck off on them and can keep them CC'd in place for a really long time. For the maximum damage, you have to put them in the coffin at the end, but an underrated amount of CC on Baron can come from ulting on the opposite side of the wall and just keeping somebody stuck against it for like 3 seconds. If your team can't get that kill in 3 seconds, you have kind of separate problems outside of that. That was a really good little Gebel and knockup combo right there. Luckily, I've got my beads up. Gonna have to use my ulti right here for some quick CC immunity. Probably gonna go down right here to that Robin Blink combo. Really good play on the Geb. knocking me into the tower. The deficit of not having an actual getaway skill. For our second active, we are gonna get Aegis. And then for my next item, I'm going to get a Karen's coin. Karen's coin gonna give us a little bit of extra movement to help us get out of tricky situations like that as we get it stacked. Plus, of course, it's gonna give us that 20% pen combined with our warlock is gonna be 30%, which is really all that we need on Baron. Your build priority on Baron is mostly just gonna be cooldown plus % penetration. It's also generically your priority on all mages right now, but even more so on utility mages, especially in the early stages of the game. Luckily, this game, I don't have to get a Divine Ruin. If I had to get a Divine Ruin, I would probably be getting it right now, or I would have gotten it in place of the Chronos Pendant, and then I would have kind of pushed back everything in the build one. If you're against a heavy healing team, I would get anti-heal no later than your second item, because you can see I've got 2 full items finished. We're right around the 15-minute marker. Right around the 15-minute marker is team fight o'clock, which means if I don't have that Divine Ruin online by now, my team is going to be feeling it in the fights, especially if I'm against something big healer like a Hal or a Guan Yu or something. Trying to zone Merlin out of this wave as much as I can, because we should be able to get his tier 1 tower. That is also his flicker down. So if he tries to come back in towards his T2, he's also kind of out of position. Robin just kind of running at me, so I'm going to throw down the ulti for Robin, try to give him the suck. He does unfortunately avoid that coffin there at the end. Merlin flickers, though, towards our team to try to get out of a bit of a combo there. Just going to throw down a little 2-1 combo. For the sustain, got to hit him with that root on Wukong. Might give us just long enough to kill him. No, unfortunately, everybody is just going to live there with 1 HP. Dang, so close, though. So your standard combo on Baron is going to be as follows. When you're PvEing, it's just a little 2-1. You almost always want to use your 2 before your 1, because your 2 has a longer casting animation. Your 1 is basically instant, so if you do a 2-1, you'll see that those damage numbers almost proc at the exact same time. More burst damage is better. And if you're PvPing, your combo is simply going to be the same thing, but throwing out the 3 first. 3, start to hit them with that ramping slow. Then you follow up with the 2-1, because they'll be rooted in place, and you can't miss them. Your ultimate standardly going to come out after your 3-2-1 combo when they are near threshold. Now, the biggest thing that separates an experienced Baron player and a new Baron player is knowing when to use the ultimate immediately for damage and trying to get somebody in the coffin, and when to keep somebody out of the coffin on purpose. So if you watch experienced Baron players, a lot of the time what you're gonna see is them turning around and specifically not hitting the enemy with the coffin, so that way they don't get sucked inside of it. The reason why people do that is to maximize the CC duration. So if you're like waiting for your team to get to you and you need a little bit of extra time, turning around in that Baron coffin can be a way to get a little bit of extra time built up. So like I'm right here gonna be looking towards this Geb. I'm just trying to CC him over and over again, so that way my team has more time to get some damage off on him. And you can see that duration of total CC is way longer when I continue to pull him and then pull him and then pull him, instead of just putting him directly into the coffin. Now we can back up, get our Karens. Make sure, of course, you're buying a Sentry Ward on pretty much every back. Beads and Aegis, always going to be your go-to on mages right now. No reason to mess with it. If you're getting crazy aggressive on some mages, you might get a blink, but there's really no reason not to go Beads Aegis on your mid laners right now. Gonna put a sentry ward up here at top right. Get some vision out so if they start to go towards the gold fury. And we've now got 30% CDR and 30% pen with 3 items. These core 3 items, very strong on mages right now. You can replace that Chronos Bennett for something like a Spear of Desolation if you don't need all of that CDR so early. It also opens up the pathway for getting more 10% CDR items later, like a Staff of Mirrodin or something. But that is not where we're going to be going on our Baron. We're going to be getting a Soul Reaver next. Baron, one of the premier Soul Reaver proccers, because all 4 of his abilities do damage, all 4 of his abilities will proc it, meaning that we get super efficient use out of it. So you always want to get a Soul Reaver on Baron. If we had a Divine Ruin here, then Soul Reaver would just happen to be our last item. Gonna call the defend the Gold Fury here. They are gonna W key towards me, so I gotta be careful for that. Probably gonna go down here. I can pop an Aegis to try to live like a little bit longer. Probably gonna end up dying anyway. Did save me a little bit of time and allow me to get one more ability rotation off onto the Robin. So we are falling behind as a team right now, so
Even the perfect plan can
they are
fail.
grouping much more efficiently than us. Right around that 15 to 20 minute marker, of course. Now in the 20-minute marker, they're going to get the Gold Fury. They're going to go from a 3K lead to a 5K lead, and their team is kind of off to the races now. They are in the driver's seat, and it is their game to lose. We kind of discussed earlier about how that 15 to 20 minute marker is when you got to get grouped as a team. It's when you got to start focusing on team fights and objectives, because that's when the game does start to snowball. Pretty consistently in Smite right now, that is when one team starts to get a hefty lead. Not that it's impossible. This is not an impossible leverage to come back from, but you'll watch very quickly the game go from being within 2K gold to 5, 6, 7K gold very quickly. In a matter of minutes. I mean, now it's officially 5K. That was basically a 5K diff in a span of like a minute and a half. Real quick.
Your left tower is under attack.
So right now our goal is just to keep farming for XP. Try to get that level 20. That Pendulum and Soul Reaver being online will increase our damage significantly. So that has to be our focus. Got a Gab rolling out towards me. Their team is going to start getting setting up for Fire Giant soon, so I'm going to put a backward out. So that way where I'll be standing, I can have the peace of mind to know that they don't know that I'm there. At least not exactly where I am. They are all starting to come over. There was also a Wukong over here that we got to be careful of, so we have to kind of back out together. Not sure if we're going to be able to get that Athena out. You can see that Robin is dying for him over and over again. Trying to peel with as much CC as I can from my team, but also keeping myself in a relatively safe spot, comparably. Gonna have to pop my beads there because they're diving in real hard. Still got that ulti up that I might have to use back here in the Phoenix range. If they kept chasing. They did keep chasing, which is nice. I've got to throw down my ulti just really quickly on the Robin to try to get enough damage on him, but they're going to dive directly through that tier 2 tower. Their 5K lead has become a 7K lead. Would be a good kill on Rama if we could get it right there. That's nice, at least for our Chiron getting some more pressure. So they're not going to get a Phoenix off of this, and we killed their Hunter and their Mage, so they also can get a Fire Giant off of it. But they did continue to extend out their lead. One of the reasons why it's so hard to come back and Smite right now is even trades don't necessarily cut it. While we did stop them from getting anything too crazy because we took out their mid laner and their hunter, they grabbed the T2, and that PvE objective is just infinitely more important than kills. Kills are nice in Smite, but kills are entirely tertiary to objectives. Gold Furies, Pyromancers, towers, etc. That's where you get that big cash influx in Smite that leads to winning the game. As F. Dot would say, the stuff after the stuff. The kills only matter if you're getting the stuff afterwards. But when you're on the defensive, a lot of the times you're getting some of those kills, but then it's just like, okay, we gotta push out the lanes to make sure there's no catapults coming down. We gotta just re-put out wards to make sure they don't sneak in an objective. You're just doing all of the defensive stuff, which unfortunately doesn't give you any of that sweet, sweet dinero. You're in a very difficult situation. They are on the Fuego. Barret, not a great objective securer, nor stealer. Countering a ward that they've got back here on us. Looks like Robin might try to just W queen to us. So I'm trying to get some pressure onto the Robin. That Rama is going to be their main objective dealer. So if we get him at least a little bit low, maybe they have to think twice about going for it. Gonna go for a quick kill on the Geb. At least get us something out of this exchange. And then my last little poke, just try to throw it onto Merlin. Get him low enough. We're dead for 30 seconds. They might go straight for a Phoenix. Athena will come up in time for the Titan, but it's just an Athena. Then we'll have the Awilix. They should be able to get a Phoenix here. They'll probably do Phoenix and then head right back to the Fuego. We can grab the Soul Reaver, though, and another Sentry Ward. And their lead has now extended out to 10k and a Phoenix. The good news being that it's the solo lane Phoenix. The solo lane Phoenix is the least important Phoenix because we can keep pushing out the minions in that lane next to the Fire Giant without having to be out of position. Compared to over in the duo lane, they're going to go, we have to send somebody all the way to the other side of the map. Yep, sure enough, they're going to do Phoenix right over to the Fire Giant. That is the right call for them. So now we're just trying to get level 20 and get ourselves enough cash monies to get that Sands of Time ranked up to the old pendulum. See if we can't sneak in a red buff over here as well. We definitely won't defend that tier 2 tower over in right. We'll just defend our Phoenixes. Probably won't be able to defend them. The 13k lead is like a massive lead. But we are right around the average game length time as well. Right around that 30-minute marker is typically when the Titans go down. Actually a very standard game of Smite. I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier, all of the 15 to 20 minute markers. They group up in the objective and the snowball. They start the snowball, and then it takes usually about another 15 minutes or so in order to go through the process of the rest of the game and for the Titan to fall down. You don't really have a comeback opportunity, but you kind of just have to wait it out. Now, they could still super throw, but at this point in the Smite game, it should be noted, there is nothing that you can do at this point in a game to win. Just to be perfectly honest, there's no play that you can make to win the game. It is entirely up to the enemy team to throw the game. They could do something stupid. They could dive into the Titan room past the Phoenixes. Somebody could disconnect, etc. But there is nothing within your power. There's no comeback mechanic in Smite right now for once you're down 10k. 10k is that's the official death spiral number. But we'll do our best to keep defending the base. Throw out some damage. Merlin's flicker is down, so I'm going to give him the suck on this wall. He popped the beads and Aegis, so you can see right there, I wait a little bit at the end of that to suck him in a little bit more. He unfortunately does have alternate timeline of all things. So even though we kill him, we don't actually kill him, unfortunately.
You're suffering.
Solo lane Phoenix is coming up soon. Not gonna be able to probably get another red buff this game. They're gonna go for that left-hand side Phoenix because it's gonna respawn and be weak. So they get a defensive sentry ward out over here. So get the Sand of Time, and that'll probably be the last item that we get here.
Death is inevitable.
As far as the last item goes, pretty much a completely flex slot. If you want to go with the proccing style of build, Soul Gem and E-Staff here both make a lot of sense. Both make you a little bit tankier, plus providing a little bit of that extra bam pizzazz damage on top of your Slow Revert. You can go a defensive item as well. If you feel like you're getting dove by a bunch of physical characters, you do have the crowns as an option. As well as, of course, you could wrap up with another 10% penetration item as well, just to help you that much more get tanks. Now, Merlin flickered in. He doesn't have beads or Aegis. Unfortunately, the Robin face tanks our ultimate with his kick, so he doesn't get stunned or take any damage. Good play for him to just run up and tank that for the Merlin. So on your Baron, you're gonna get some good damage off. You are gonna be susceptible. Gotta be really careful with your positioning. And at the end of the day, you are a utility adjacent mage. Your damage is still gonna be good, but you are a utility adjacent mage. So you gotta be more in the mindset of that kind of Nox E-set playstyle, where yeah, you can do good damage, but you're also gonna be providing a lot of setup for the team. So they are more team dependent mages as well. And of course, make sure you grab that Warlock's staff on essentially all the mages that you're playing right now. It is without a doubt the best mage item in the game. So you can throw that onto anybody, get it stacked up real quick at the start, and then you are off to the races, guys. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Twitchiest community and ring that bell for notifications, guys. And this has been your Baron Samedi Guide. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.